I ask myself every single day, how the hell did we get here? And it's because of the political choices made by Labour and Conservatives. And they repeat the same empty line. We're tough on crime. No, they're not. They've left us with no police, no prisons, and no border control. The Tories in 14 years let in 6.5 million people. Thousands upon thousands of unvetted men who don't share our values and don't respect women. And if you dare complain, they call you racist or far right and arrest you for hate speech. Britain doesn't need more speech laws. It needs more police, more prison cells, and a justice system that actually protects the public, not censors it. This isn't just incompetence, it's a betrayal. It's proof that Labour and Conservatives have stopped fighting for you. We will be the toughest, clearest, most unapologetic government on crime this country has ever seen. It's finally our turn. It's time to put British people first. It's time for reform.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Councillor Leila Cunningham. I think it's fair to say you have burst onto the scene. You are literally on every single television screen. Every time I turn on, you're doing an incredible job. I don't know how you do that, manage 7 children. But look, you're in the office with me. I don't think I've met anyone who is as passionate as you are. You are determined to make a difference. What's it been like, that journey for you, into the public eye and the spotlight?
It's been interesting. I mean, you say I've got 7 children, but they're all teenagers, so
they want nothing
to. Yeah, oh. Well, they want nothing to do with me.
Oh well, fine.
You know, teenagers are a special breed.
Yeah, well, they are.
They're not the nicest of people at all times, but it's been. You know what it is? It's been amazing because I feel like I'm in therapy. I can finally say what I've always felt. It was very difficult being part of the Conservatives because you were sent to sell something that you didn't believe in. And now I'm finally part of a party that prioritises Britain and prioritises the British public, which is very, very refreshing. And the other parties, when you're at the Conservatives, it's always how can the Conservatives maintain power? It's how to maintain the party. Whereas, as you and I know, David, in the reform, it's what does the country need? And that's where we take it from. And it's a very different type of politics.
So let me just take you back to when you first stood. Why did you decide to stand as a councillor?
Because I was tired of politicians destroying my city. I was tired of my kids getting mugged. I was tired of antisocial behaviour plaguing my city. I was a criminal prosecutor. I was tired of a criminal justice system that let criminals get away. Every time I'd enter Sainsbury's, I'd see a bunch of people walk out with stuff for free. I was sick and tired of it, and I said I'm going to stop complaining and stand up.
Well done for doing that. I mentioned right at the beginning of this programme, I've lived here since I was 18 years old. I do not recognise this city anymore in so many ways. And of course, crime is a huge concern, but actually, safety on the streets. I'm seeing graffiti on the tube. I haven't seen that for many, many years. I'm seeing antisocial behaviour. I'm seeing gangs of kids just hanging out. We've also got all these terrible statistics on knife crime, for example, those rape statistics. Huge problems, not just for women and girls, but actually for people who are walking home late at night, people on shift work as well. Does that accord with what you're seeing?
100%. I mean, we have a mayor that's effectively deprioritised public safety. He's cut visible policing. He's halved stop and search. He's even managed to politicise that. And he's cut police counters. He's cut police stations. And now he's cutting police from the royal parks. He effectively, as crime goes up, he cuts police. And as a criminal prosecutor, you know, people say, oh, you always bang on about illegal migration. You know, it doesn't affect you that much. Actually, as a criminal prosecutor in Westminster, about 70% of the defendants were illegal migrants, and they get public defence. I had one defence lawyer stand up and say, you know, Judge, my client just arrived on a boat. So we have to take into account how difficult that must have been. And of course, Judge, he can't work because he's illegal. So what's he supposed to do? He has to steal. And you'd think the judge will be like, I don't care. No, the judge says, you know, why don't we order a probation report, get to know more about him. and see what the state, what you all can pay for him to make him better. And that was constant. I had to prosecute someone in a burqa. I asked the judge, can the defendant remove the burqa? And she said, no, you know, Madam Prosecutor, these are religious sensitivities. And she cannot remove the burqa. So I had to prosecute a faceless person. We have...
But that's unacceptable.
Completely unacceptable, even in the Middle East, where my parents are from. You cannot rock up to court with your face fully covered.
So let's just go back to that. So are the judges hopelessly out of touch? Are they just scared of upsetting?
I think they're scared.
They're scared?
They're scared because we have politicians that have completely lost common sense and they've deprioritised the British public. They've deprioritised the people that have built this city. You know, I have residents whose children are number 400 on the list for social housing. Someone who's just arrived is at the top of the list.
Yeah.
How is that fair? I have a woman who's a resident, she's a bus driver. She cries to me and she says, you know, I've been a bus driver for 20 years. I'm so tired. I can't take a holiday. She says, but the person, she says, I get no help because she's just above that threshold for work where she doesn't really get help with her rent. And but you know, she says, that just means I'll work harder. And that is a British value. But she says the person next door has just arrived, doesn't speak English, got a 3-bedroom flat for free.
So that's really interesting. As I go around the country, I keep saying that is what people are telling me. It doesn't matter where I am in the country. This is about fairness or the lack of fairness in this country. And that is what is so upsetting to British people, which is actually they are not being looked after properly. We are not putting British people first, and we need to do that and do it urgently.
It's about respect. It's respecting the people that built this country. It's respecting the people that built this city. And the political class doesn't respect that anymore. And I don't feel that they prioritise us. And that's why I joined Reform, because I feel there is a really strong priority. We're not ashamed to be patriotic, but the political class have made it shameful to love your country, shameful to have family values. And that has to be reversed because...
well, one of the other things that I keep saying is actually we're a relatively small party. You know, we have 5 members of Parliament, 2 marvellous mayors and so on. We also have 265,000 members as of today, so I'm delighted by that. But it's amazing, isn't it? We're on the front page of every single national newspaper almost every single day.
Yes.
And I think the reason for that is we are not afraid to say things that the rest of the political establishment simply will not say. But it is what people are saying in the pubs, they're saying it in social clubs, they're saying it all over the streets, the towns, the villages.
And in those towns and villages, they've seen some of their towns and villages change. It's become unrecognisable. And I get sometimes... I was speaking at an event and someone said, oh, you know, they were talking about Islam and how it's a problem. And someone said, oh, it's a cult. And there was kind of an uncomfortable moment because I'm Muslim. But there are Muslim communities that come to this country and expect the country to change for them.
Yes.
And if the country doesn't change for them, they say you're racist. But there is nothing racist about wanting to protect your values, your way of life in this country. That's patriotism. And that's something that I believe Reform stands for, and other political parties have not.
So does that make you... So does that help you? Because you can actually say, I am Muslim, I can't possibly be being racist. Does that help you in your arguments when certainly the broadcasters will level accusations at you?
Yeah.
That they would certainly level at me or many of our MPs, for example.
Oh, they still level it. But because they will, no matter what you do, you could get, you know, it doesn't really matter who you are. But there's nothing racist about wanting to preserve your way of life. There's nothing racist about loving Britain and wanting to preserve British way of life. And it is, I think if you went to any country and you can't rock up to a country and say, I want it to change, and the people say, okay, we're tolerant, but we're not suckers. And I think that's what the people have to understand. And I think we've been shut up for too long.
I would agree.
I feel it.
And just in terms of that, I think we're all in agreement that actually what we need to do urgently is boot Sadiq Khan out of office immediately. If you were elected Mayor of London, what would you do differently? How would you actually sort this city out?
So I think the #1 priority for Londoners, I mean, I'm born and raised here, and as you say, I've never seen it like this. You know, I used to play basketball in some of the roughest part of London. From the age of 10, I'd be on the tube by myself, and my parents never were worried that I'd be mugged or knifed or, you know, and now I do for my kids. So I think I'd want to see boots on the streets. I want to see every high street patrolled, and I want a message to police officers, because like Peter Blexley, I think the police are great. You know, I've worked very closely with the police. They put their life on the line for us for very little. And I think they should be respected, and they're not getting that respect. They want a mayor who says, we've got your back.
Quite right.
You do what it takes to keep us safe. We're not going to persecute you. We want you to prosecute. And we want a zero-tolerance approach. You steal something, you're going to pay for it. And you steal something from a high street, you're going to be banned from that high street for 3 years, just like we do for football banning orders. I want to see criminal behaviour orders that bans people from streets. I want to see police in hotspots, out of a nightclub. Women are so scared to get an Uber. There is a rape epidemic in London, and that's Uber drivers, black cab drivers, your workmate, and if you commit a sexual assault, I want them to know that you're going to prison for a very long time. There is no second, you know, there is no leniency when it comes to criminals, because Sadiq Khan effectively is only focused on punishing motorists.
Yeah.
You know, but he's deprioritised crime, and that's unacceptable.
So finally, if I may just ask you, I mentioned this earlier, we need to find more councillors, particularly in London, actually. The task is enormous. What would you say to people who are sitting there thinking, well, maybe I should try, maybe I should stand?
So I have been doing a tour of London and speaking at a lot of branches, and what I get is people tell me I'll get fired if I stand. I'm scared of being called racist. So when Keir Starmer called us racist, he shut down the democratic process because people are scared of being called racist. That's what he did inadvertently. It wasn't only a smear. But what I'll tell people to standing up, when you stand for London, when you stand for local elections, you're standing against everything that you hate about the country, and it all starts locally. You're standing against a government that works for the bureaucracy and stopped working for you. A government that takes your money and you don't see anything in return. You can't get a GP appointment, you don't see police, and your schools are crumbling. You're fighting that, and you're fighting, more importantly, against a government overreach who wants to take away your freedom of speech, who wants to give you the digital ID, which will mean that your rights now will become privileges. That's what you're fighting, and it starts at a local level. It's not only bins and housing, it's a lot more. And it's time that we told London, reforms arrived, and we're here to stay, and we're not going anywhere.
I love that. I love that. Reform has arrived. Well, look, I think you're doing a tremendous job, and I think everyone here would agree. Ladies and gentlemen, Councillor Leila Cunningham.